All right, so I'm going live here if you're watching the replay. Um, Still haven't shared the link yet in the chat room. Copy. Let's see here. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so we got some people trickling in now. So welcome to Blockchain Mastery University, the live Q&A for week number 9. So I hope everyone's doing well out there in the middle of the quarantines. And a lot of people are basically inside their homes. At least a lot of people here in the United States are. I imagine a lot of you are around the world too. So I hope everyone is safe and healthy. I hope everyone's families are safe and healthy. I've got my quarantine beard going on here and my quarantine, hairdo. So I hope everybody's practicing good hygiene during this time. I could probably do a little better myself. But yeah, go ahead and dump your questions in the chat room. Happy to answer them. We'll wait for everybody to kind of trickle in and get a little more critical mass here. I'm happy to go ahead and answer your questions. So what country is everyone in who's on the live stream right now? I'm in the United States. I know this program's got a lot of people from different places in here. We've got like Spain. I know we had people from Italy in here who were, hit pretty hard with coronavirus stuff. So I hope everybody's doing well. Oh, Matt's in Austria. Yeah, so I see you've got you left me some messages here, Matt. I'm gonna get back to those shortly. Actually, I'll just go ahead and pull them up right now. Okay, so let's see here. How'd everything go here, Matt, with the flash loan contract? So you've got an error in there. Okay, I'll take a look at this after after I wrap up the live stream, or depending on what the questions are, maybe I can look at it here. So DAI insufficient balance. Yeah, we'll wait for people's questions. I'll be happy to actually talk about some of this flash loan stuff that Matt is working on, because I actually created a video on flash loans this week for Blockchain Mastery University. So I think it'd be a really cool thing for us to corporately work on, kind of an experiment, is trying to see what our results are, trying to get some of this to work. So there's an open source kind of framework for doing flash loans with Aave lending protocol. And I made a video about it this week for Blockchain Mastery University. That's the video that's going up in the video vault this week. So I know this is a hot topic. Lots of people have asked about this. So I said, hey, let's try to do this. And Matt kind of spearheaded an effort to get some of this stuff to work. So I've kind of tinkered around with it a little bit myself, and kind of created a setup video for everybody else to get started who wants to help solve this problem. And we can get more heads on this, and hey, yeah, it's good knowledge to have. So let's see here. So we got people from Austria. Let's see here. Canada, Poland. What's the future of DeFi? It's a good question. So yeah, the best place to ask questions are in the reply to the announcement in the general channel for Slack. But I get them both on YouTube, so I'm not really going to try too hard to enforce it one way or the other. The best place is in Slack, but they inevitably end up in YouTube anyway, so it's not a big deal. All right, so got some more people from US in here as well. We have a specific question in the chat, which is what is the future of DeFi? So I'll go ahead and chime in on that one. So that's a great question. Of course, no one has a crystal ball on this kind of thing, but I can definitely tell you what I think the state of DeFi is right now and where it will likely head in the short term and potentially the long term. So who is using DeFi right now? Mostly people who are already involved in cryptocurrency before DeFi came out, or people who got involved in cryptocurrency and then, DeFi basically came onto the scene. Or maybe they got into cryptocurrency while DeFi was already there. Either way, mostly cryptocurrency users, okay? So that's primarily who's reaping the benefits of DeFi. So there's so many DeFi projects out there that it's hard to keep up with all of them. So it's sort of like saying, what's happening in traditional finance? Well, there's lots of things happening. But I'll focus on a couple of key use cases in DeFi that are pretty popular. The first is, I would say, savings and lending, and then also stable coins. There's a lot more, but those are two pretty big, three really pretty big categories, but they all kind of revolve around the same thing. So it's like a MakerDAO, for example. The DAI stablecoin has a pretty clear use case, right? Like, it's a stable cryptocurrency whose price doesn't change. That has a huge benefit to cryptocurrency traders. So if you go trade any Ethereum-based asset, you can do it peer-to-peer. The funds never have to leave. You control your own funds the entire time. You can trade Ethereum-based assets, and whenever you want to keep the price stable, you could just convert it to DAI, right? So that's a huge use case. Loans are another big use case. Well, actually, before we do loans, savings is a big use case. So basically, like if you want to kind of park your funds somewhere that has a somewhat more, I don't want to say predictable rate of return, but more conservative rate of return, that's a big use case. So basically, like, compound protocol, for example, compound finance, you hear that kind of thrown around. Basically, if you had DAI, you could just lock it into compound and then earn a conservative interest rate on that. And a lot of times, these interest rates are higher than you would get on a high yield checking account or savings account in a traditional financial system. So that's like big compelling use case to keep it there. Now, I know a lot of cryptocurrency too, like the other compelling reasons to use it is because it's not regulated and, you can do stuff off grid. So that's a big factor too. But so I'd also say, like, another big use case is lending, for example. So that's one of the things that makes the savings rate work, and is basically that on the other side of the equation, people are taking loans out. And usually these are cryptocurrency traders because they're collateralized loans where the collateral position is larger than the amount of money that you borrow. So basically, like, if you want to borrow, let's just use it in US dollar terms. If you want to borrow $1,000, a lot of times you have to, put up maybe twice that much to borrow. Not necessarily twice, but let's just use it as an example. Like if you want to borrow $1,000, maybe you have to put up like $2,000 as collateral. You say, why is that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you want to give $1,000 to borrow $1,000? Well, it's because you do it on two different assets, right? So basically, like, you might say, I want to borrow $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency B. So I'll give you $1,000 cryptocurrency A, or sorry, $2,000 cryptocurrency A as collateral. And then if I don't pay it back, you have my collateral. And you say, why'd you do that? Well, if you want to speculate on what the price of that cryptocurrency is going to be, and you can make profit on it in a trade that's larger than your collateral, or it doesn't have to be larger than your collateral, just larger, just any kind of profit. That's why they do it, right? So as people talk about going long and short on assets, that's what enables them to do that. You don't have to have those things, right? I think I kind of got the explanation a little bit wrong, but that's the picture. So that's the current state, some of the big use cases in DeFi right now. So what's the future? So I think part of the future is bringing in more people to the space to use sort of the money Legos as they are now, okay? And that creates demand for other cryptocurrencies. It creates demand for Ethereum network, all that kind of stuff, right? So I think part of the future of DeFi is onboarding new people to achieve the benefits in DeFi that you can't get somewhere else, right? And I think savings rate is a key benefit that most people can understand and most people can get on board with, right? So basically, one reason a lot of people get into Bitcoin is because you can make a lot of money in a short amount of time, potentially, right? By watching the Bitcoin price go up, right? You can see Bitcoin price double in a matter of weeks, sometimes days even, right? So that brings a lot of people into Bitcoin, financial speculation. So most people can understand that, watching a price go up really quickly. Now, a lot of people, I think, can understand watching their money in a checking account or a savings account and earning a fraction of a percent interest, and then saying, oh, I can just put my money somewhere else and earn a much higher percentage of interest. That, I think, providing a benefit to the average Joe is a much more compelling use case. Okay. Now, there's still a lot of friction we have to overcome to get the average Joe to onboard them into DeFi. But I think as onboarding gets a lot easier, the benefit will still pull them on. There's always this kind of tension of user experience versus actual use case. I don't necessarily buy that bad user experience is what's holding back blockchain mass adoption, right? It's a factor, but it's not the thing. If it were the thing, then how do you explain people jumping through all these hoops of KYCing? Imagine in the United States, at least, all the hoops you have to jump through to buy Bitcoin. You have to go to an exchange, KYC, pay ridiculous fees to buy the stuff. There's a lot, right? And if you have to figure out how to use a Bitcoin wallet, and you might lose your Bitcoin if you don't manage your keys right, there's all this stuff that can fail, right? But people jump through those hoops, especially when they watch that price go up and up and up because they see a benefit to it, right? The user experience is bad. Or to invest in an ICO or something like that. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through if you want to do something like that. But people do it because of the potential of return. So if that stays constant and equal, then adding less friction and adding better user experience will help that for sure. It'll increase the rate at which people enter into the ecosystem, but it's not the main thing holding it back, I don't think. So that's where I see the future of DeFi is. I don't want to say there's no amazing use cases that aren't coming out right now, or that won't be out in the future, because honestly, who saw flash loans coming, right? I mean, I know that they didn't just come out. They've been around for a while. People have been talking about them. But it's a crazy use case, right? And so there could be potentially a lot more cool things that haven't been surfaced yet. And I don't know what those things are, right? So I'm excited to see what they are. So anyways, that's a really long answer to your question about what is the future of DeFi, but I hope that helps. Oh, that's awesome. So an Italian bank introduces Bitcoin trading to over 1 million users during coronavirus lockdown. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Miko. That's great. So I would love to see Bitcoin ETFs, so exchange traded funds. That would reduce a lot of the friction for people getting into Bitcoin. Yeah, definitely. One, you're talking about the future of DeFi. If we see Facebook Libra ever launch, that would be a pretty big game changer, I think. And there's a lot of really mixed reviews from different opinions on people, whether they like Facebook or not, or whether they think philosophically Libra is a good idea or not. I'll let you all duke that one out, but that would probably be a pretty big game changer as far as people getting into the ecosystem, especially if they could take Facebook Libra coins off of, if it was an actual blockchain. and they could actually, leave the platform. I mean, Facebook's going to probably trace all your transactions and know what your data is, but that would open a lot of floodgates. But that way. So crypto is one of those things, and all technology really is like this, but it's one of those like big innovation happens in massive jumps. So basically, like stuff happens really slowly, and then boom, it explodes. It looks like a hockey stick usually. I mean, you see that with the adoption of the internet. You see that with all kinds of things. Think about it even yourself. Like, think about it, it's like a fractal. Like everything follows the same kind of pattern on a much bigger scale, and then down on a micro scale, you see the same kinds of patterns. So think about yourself like when you're working on a really hard problem or you're trying to learn something. It takes a long time for you to really, you're putting in a lot of effort with very little return, and then boom, instantly it clicks. It's the same kind of thing. Or like, if you ever notice, if you're working on a hard project, like you're building a piece of software from scratch, or you're doing a tutorial, for example, you spend so much time gaining context and solving the problems before you actually implement it, that like next time you work on a project, notice that the last maybe 50% of the project might only take like a quarter of your total time. Like you might spend like the first 75% of your time working on well, I got that wrong. But like maybe like the last quarter of the project takes like half your time or 70, basically disproportionate amount, or the inverse. So basically like you spend a lot of time working on the first part, and then the last part goes really fast. Same kind of thing with technological innovation. So the reason for that is with going back to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain and DeFi, all that kind of stuff, all this foundation has to be laid, and then boom, I think we're going to see a pretty big explosion. I don't know when it's going to be. I think more people getting into Bitcoin helps the space. Honestly, right now, when we're in the United States, got a question here about digital dollar. We're talking about a big stimulus plan in the United States of printing a lot of money, and that's something that really causes people to double down on Bitcoin. Well, it causes people to double down on scarce resources. So a lot of times when people see, at least financially minded people, whenever they think inflation is going to happen, they flee to gold. And so the more people know about Bitcoin, they flee to another digital resource, scarce resource like that. So can I comment on issues? So I got two questions here. One, money printer, right, Miko? I've seen that one going around. So yeah, two questions. One is, what do I think about digital dollar? The other one is about commenting on issues of DeFi when the prices crashed. Two great questions. So I'll start with digital dollar. I'm actually about to interview somebody on my YouTube channel to talk about this more extensively, who has greater expertise on this particular issue than I do. But my really quick assumption, the digital dollar is probably not going to make it into the stimulus plan for the United States. So if anyone's not familiar with what this is, basically the United States is trying to pass an economic relief bill. They want to print a lot of money, quantitative easing, in order to help, kind of speed up the economy. That's at least the pitch. And it's kind of stuffed in that bill. They decided they proposed the implementation of a digital dollar. So basically, like, it would speed up the delivery of money to people. Where, like, if let's just say the government wanted to give you $1,000 check to make up for losses that you incurred because of like coronavirus shutdowns, giving you a digital money and you having a digital wallet would speed that up rather than having to put the money in your bank account and figure out how to deliver it. Okay, so the real Trojan horse here is the actual digital wallet, not necessarily the currency itself. So to my understanding, it's the digital wallet that's the big problem here, because then they can just track everything that you do. It's just surveillance. It's financial surveillance. So that seems to be people's pretty strong objection to it. My understanding right now is that was taken out of the legislation. The legislation still hasn't even passed yet, not to my knowledge. I think it got kicked back again. So I'm going to invite somebody on my YouTube channel to talk more about that in depth, because I only have so much understanding about it, but I could definitely see it being a Trojan horse kind of scenario where sounds great that they're, implementing a digital dollar, but then there's surveillance involved, just like probably with Facebook Libra. But does that also, is there a way to interoperate? Like, is there a way to play leapfrog where you can like make that digital dollar somehow hook into the current blockchains? I don't know. Is there a bigger benefit that could potentially be achieved long term where you could exit out of that system into a more decentralized system? I don't know. Those are the kinds of questions I want to ask in the interview that I've got coming up. Okay, so Matt says, can I comment on issues happened in DeFi back on Monday? So basically what Matt's talking about, I'll try to summarize what Matt's talking about, and if I get it wrong, Matt, please correct me. So basically, when the when stuff started melting down, a lot of people started taking money out of DeFi protocols, right? They started moving money around, and we saw a lot of network congestion, but also there were some hiccups in like the pricing oracles. So basically, like, if you know what that means, let's just take a really simple DeFi protocol, like, and it's just a basic exchange. Like, let's just say something there where you say, I want to sell a cryptocurrency for another one. Let's say you own an ERC20 token, like my fictional DApp token that you use inside the bootcamp, and also like in my other tutorials. Like, let's say I put that token out there and it was worth $10 per token, right? Or no, let's say it was worth 1 Ether, right? So let's compare it to Ether. And that was on like 5 exchanges or something like that, right? And those 5 exchanges, should be, that's about the market price. Maybe slight differences on the exchanges. But some of these protocols have pricing oracles where basically they get the price of the assets, they pull them in a decentralized way. And some of these things malfunctioned where like what happened was there were big price discrepancies in these types of things. Sometimes like big price discrepancies, and basically like people were paying the wrong amount for things, or like they didn't want to cash out because there was the wrong price. And I think there were some other sort of bottleneck issues where people weren't able to actually do what they wanted to do. It's sort of like going to your bank and wanting to take your money out of your bank, but the bank says, nah, we're not going to give you the money. So I don't know if I did that justice, Matt. Does it sound about right? I'll let him chime in on that. But if I got that right, let's see here. DeFi status report, post Black Thursday. Like I say, Miko posted this. All right. Yeah, it's a good. Everybody go back and read about this. The DAI savings rate fell pretty bad too, from my understanding. So if I could comment on that. Yeah, I would say basically we're still pretty early in the space and are still solving lots of problems. It's not, I don't really give financial advice. I always say I can't give financial advice. I'm just, in my opinion, just a developer here. But if it were me personally, like I wouldn't put $1 million into like a compound protocol. There are people that do it. People put millions of dollars in it. But for these are the types of reasons, right? Or at least at this point in time. Not saying it can't get there. But yeah, we're still early in the space. We're still solving problems. And honestly, like we went through some pain. It revealed some weaknesses in the system, and these things have to be addressed. I'm not saying they can't be improved, and these problems can be mitigated, and we can use this knowledge to grow and make the system and the ecosystem better. But it's still early. It's still an experimental time. I don't know. Do you all have any other thoughts or opinions on this kind of thing? But the flip side, I don't think it's a deal breaker. I don't think it's like game over for DeFi or anything like that. I think we took some hits and we learned some hard lessons. But also don't forget, like I know this is a pretty international group, so I don't necessarily know the history of all of, I mostly know the financial history of my own nation that I live in, the United States. But the United States is an experiment, and its financial system's got a pretty rocky past, especially when we had the Great Depression in the United States. Lots of banks just went out of business. You couldn't get your money out of a private bank. This is before we had the Federal Reserve. It was all kinds of problems. So, we are creating a new financial system, and there will be pain. But I think we learn from it. We try to improve things. So, if y'all have any more thoughts or opinions on that, feel free to chime in. All right, so let's see here. So, if the U.S. stock market is halted, do you expect regulated crypto exchanges to be halted too? That's a good question. I'll give you my opinion, but I'll say don't take my word for it. I would say no. Mostly because the U.S. stock system, like New York Stock Exchange, stuff like that, it has like built-in rules. It's like circuit breakers and stuff like that. So the prices change too rapidly, like it just stops. So it's basically got kind of like a central bottleneck that's almost like a stop loss that causes it to cease trading if the prices drop too far. And I think part of what Luis is saying is people have talked about like, hey, maybe they'll just stop trading if we like completely stop the economy. And if that happens, do you think crypto will be halted? I don't know for sure, but I don't think so. I think crypto will probably stay open. Because think about it too, crypto is still a pretty small fish compared to the financial industry, legacy financial system. I think I saw people talking about like on crypto Twitter about like, if the US increases the money supply by $6 trillion, that's like 50 Bitcoin market caps. So to take the entire Bitcoin network and multiply it by 50. So is there any other blockchains DeFi enabled, EOS or Phantom? That's a good question. I don't pay a lot of attention to EOS, mostly because I don't get a lot of requests or demand for EOS types of things. I know that DeFi Pulse you guys know about DeFi Pulse? I think somebody shared an article for me here a second ago. It doesn't list anything by those particular blockchains. Then again, you could say that DeFi Pulse is pretty heavily biased towards Ethereum and somewhat centralized in what they'll publish. That might also be true. But you could look at other dApp explorers like dappradar.com. Pull that up right now on my screen. Let's see here. I would check on dappradar.com to see, because they're going to have DeFi stuff on there. Okay, so Luis, I think it's a legitimate concern. I wouldn't worry about it necessarily. I mean, it's hard to say though. I mean, I know people on crypto Twitter freak out about the US just like seizing Bitcoin property, like they did with gold a long time ago. But I don't know. I'm not gonna say it can't happen, but it's unlikely. But then again, if you told me, 3 or 4 months ago that in 2020 we were going to be in a world pandemic and that entire economies were going to get shut down, I would have said that sounds unlikely too. But here we are. Okay, Miko says, what's better during the recession, freelancing or full time? That's a good question. So you can think about it here. I'll give you a way to think about it and you can make up your mind for yourself, Miko. So if you're a freelancer, I'm also like refuting my own argument in my head before I make it. And I'll give you the caveat at the end. But if you have a job, you have one source of income. All right. If you're a freelancer, you could potentially have multiple sources of income. All right. Now, with a job, if you're a good employee, you're probably less likely to get fired and probably also less likely to get laid off if you're good. All right. So if it's less likely that you'll probably lose that job, but if you lose it, you've lost that entire job. Okay. If you're a freelancer and you have 3 clients, it's probably more likely that you're going to lose a client than a job if you're not under a written contract that specifies a certain amount of time. But if you lose one, you still got 2 others, and you could fill it back up probably faster. It's a lot easier to it can be faster to land a client than get a new job, if I put it that way. It's not always easier, like especially if you're brand new to freelancing. But I mean, it can also be hard to get a job too. Now, here's the caveat of this whole thing. If you're either way, you're still vulnerable to what we just saw, right? Like where an entire lockdown happened. At least for me in the United States, that's a brand new thing. Your company could lay off all their employees or a significant amount of their employees, and you could be that, or all your clients could also drive at the same time. So no one's safe from that kind of scenario, I guess is what I'm saying. So, but still at the same time, I think if you're a freelancer, it's less likely that all of them are going to dry up, but may not. No. So you're locked down on Canary Island. Wow. That's crazy. I just looked it up. Looks like a beautiful place. So I hope that kind of helps with your decision, or help that helps you kind of think through it. I mean, also part of it's the psychology of having a steady paycheck versus being a freelancer, but part of stability in freelancing is having multiple sources of income. Okay, let's see if I miss any questions here. So I also just kind of give you all my perspective on this. I've kind of come around a little bit, at least farther than I was 2 weeks ago with this whole thing. I mean, I definitely think we're starting to see some economic pain from this kind of thing, but at least here in the United States and also other places in the world too, I think we're getting close to the point where, the worst could be either behind us or we're getting close to the lowest point where we could start moving up from there. Now, nobody's using a crystal ball. Don't take my word for that. Don't take that as absolute truth, but I'm more optimistic now than I was 2 weeks ago. Put it that way. So I'm still bullish on blockchain, still bullish on tech, still bullish on everything. Yeah. So do I have experience with STO tokens? So Miko's talking about security tokens and security token offerings. So that's different from ICOs or initial coin offerings. We're talking about utility token. So yeah, I've done projects where basically they started off as a utility token and they just sort of changed course mid-project to being classified as a security token to for regulation purposes, and they kind of changed the structure of their whole project to do it. So I do have experience with that. That being said, we did not use a specific type of security token standard. So there are standards that are proposed for security tokens, but I'm not sure that they're all codified yet. I don't know that they're all completely I don't think we've come to agree upon the final security token standards that everyone's using. I could be 100% wrong about that, but that's my current understanding. Like we are with ERC20. Now, there's also other standards that sort of are like enhanced versions of ERC20. People try to improve upon it and stuff like that, but ERC20 is still pretty widely accepted standard. And to my knowledge, we don't have a security token standard that has risen to that level of prominence. But if somebody has a counterexample, I'm totally open to that. So short answer, yes, I have done STO, but it was basically with ERC20 standard. I know Polymath, and there are others who are focusing on security token offerings. Let's see. There's a pretty good website about security token offerings. I think it's called like the STO standard or something like that. I'll put in the chat room. I don't see it right away. Let's see here. Yeah, it's the security token standard.org. So this is like an EIP, I'm pretty sure, like ERC 1400. I know there are standards that are proposed, but I don't know that like we've finally decided that this is like the standard that we're going to use forever. But I might be wrong. So that's an example right there. All right, let's see if I'm missing any questions here. When is right time to buy Bitcoins? That's a good question. So as always, not financial advice. You know, I can give you my opinion. I can never give you official word on when to buy Bitcoin. Basically, like, if you're going to buy Bitcoin, I'm not going to tell you when. All right. Is now a good time? It might be a good time. I'll give you some really good guidelines to follow. So basically, if you're going to buy Bitcoin, don't buy it all at the same time. All right. You guys know what dollar cost averaging is, right? So basically, like, let's go with like beginner numbers here. Let's say you want to buy like $1,000 in Bitcoin. I didn't talk about a whole bit. Let's talk about one Bitcoin. Let's do it for easy numbers. So Bitcoin right now is like 6,500, I think. 6,500. My price. It's 6,700 right now. So if you wanted to buy, let's just say your goal is to buy one Bitcoin, and let's say you even had the money to do it right now, I wouldn't just chunk down $6,500 if that's a significant amount of money to you. If it's not, then go ahead and do it. But if you don't want to lose $6,500, then basically I would buy like a quarter of a Bitcoin, wait a week, buy a quarter of a Bitcoin, wait a week, buy a quarter of a Bitcoin, and then you get an average price. So basically, if Bitcoin goes down like crazy in a week, you buy it less. Let's say it goes down to $5,000, then you buy it, a quarter at $5,000. It goes back up to $6,000. You buy a quarter at $6,000, and if it goes up to $10,000, you buy a quarter at $10,000, and your average price is going to be somewhere around, less than what it was on day one, basically. It's called dollar cost averaging. Don't just chunk it all down. And if it's a negligible amount of money to you, then don't worry about it. But if it's money you don't want to lose, then probably don't do it. So if you're going to buy now, that's my advice. I'm actually going to check on the Dow Jones Industrial right now, see how the stocks are doing. We saw a pretty big rebound. So Dow it's dropped a little bit today, but it is at 21,200. I mean, it got down to like 18,000 something range. Yeah, 18.3, I think it was this low price. So we also saw Bitcoin decouple with stocks, which was kind of crazy. I was a little bit worried about Bitcoin because a lot of people say that Bitcoin is not correlated with stock market, but it fell when the stock market did. So there's somewhat correlation, but we saw it decouple, which was pretty cool. it started to, basically what I mean was Bitcoin started to go up while stocks were still going down. All right, so we got another question here. Do you also use Redux with React for managing state dApp front end? Do you recommend to use Redux? Matt, yes, I show you how to use Redux inside the Blockchain Bootcamp. Pretty extensively, we use Redux. So yes, I recommend Redux. I teach inside the bootcamp, and I use Redux on professional projects. I'll say what I say all the time, which is I show you the technologies and tools that I use on real world projects inside the bootcamp. So Redux, I'm a big fan of Redux. I know that there are other ways to solve that problem, but Redux is still really good with React. I'm working on a project right now where I'm using Redux on the front end, actually 2 projects. I use it all the time. So Luis says, if they try to seize crypto, oops, lost private keys. Yeah. Oops. Can't find my private keys. Good. Let's see here. Okay, anyone know what they're going to do with their coronavirus UBI? Not sure if this is a thing outside the US. So what Luis is talking about is not universal basic income, Luis, because not everybody gets it. But basically, what Luis is talking about is to help, mitigate some of the damage that was done by just like shutting down large sections of the economy. United States is basically sending checks to many of its citizens, not everybody. So it's not universal basic income because not everybody gets the checks. But so if you guys know what you're going to do with if you're in the US, you're going to get a check, let us know what you're going to do. So let's see here. Good books for lockdown. Okay, so Adam says no UBI in Canada. They just made it easier to go on EI, basically. What is EI? Something insurance. Let's see here. So Miko wants nonfiction. What do you like to learn about, Miko? Do you want it to be technology related or like something tangentially related to blockchain and crypto? Like economics, like how Bitcoin works? So books on freelancing. Yeah. Let's see. I wonder if Brennan has a book on this. You know about this guy, Nico? I'm gonna post you a link to Brennan Dunn. Go double your freelancing. He has some really good strategies for people who want to learn how to become freelancers. It's not developer specific. He has a developer background, but he talks about all kinds of people who want to develop freelancing stuff. So I know he's got some paid courses, but if you want just to consume some of his free content, it's good. I don't know if he has any books. Let me look under products. Yes, he's a very good marketer. I don't know him personally, but I have a friend who knows him. Yes, Seth Godin is also really good. Seth Godin's good at like big picture kind of stuff. Brennan from W Freelancing is really hands-on. It's sort of like for me with the blockchain and bootcamp, it's sort of like get in here and do the step-by-step, like implement these things and you'll be a blockchain developer. That's kind of what he does for freelancing. Whereas Seth Godin's more like kind of getting the wheels turning for how you think about marketing and business. So Matt says, do I use Tenderly, for example, to locate the exact line of code where a transaction failed or reverted? I do not use Tenderly. I'm going to look it up, see what you're talking about. No, I'm learning something new today myself here, Matt. Maybe I'll learn about this and we'll do a video for Blockchain Mastery University. So I want y'all's input on this. My goal for the video that I'm releasing today is about DeFi and how to get started in there. I think I want to do more these types of videos that show you how to like get in and get your hands dirty with something like an introduction to blank. And like, so some examples are like, maybe this is a good example. It's sort of like how to use Tenderly to debug your smart contracts or something like that. It's really consumable, maybe like 20-ish minute episode or something like that, where you learn about something new that can really help you as a developer. I'm thinking about the kind of taking that direction with videos. I got lots of videos, ideas on that kind of thing. Also, DeFi would be a topic in that realm, like more how to get your hands dirty with DeFi, like do this kind of thing. And then also like, for example, like how do you take advantage of other things in your development workflow, like Tenderly, for example, or like Ganache. Like this week's episode, I showed you how to use Ganache CLI with the Flash Loan tutorial. But there's also a lot of other advanced features in Ganache that most people don't know about. I don't do them in my YouTube tutorials because I try to keep it really on the basics. So those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about doing. And if you all are interested in seeing those types of things, let me know. And I also want to do more videos that kind of give us community challenges that we can work on the same kinds of things together and help one another, like this DeFi project, for example, for Flash Loans. So if that helps, Matt. No, I've not used Tenderly, but maybe I'll put that on the roadmap for the videos. I'm going to put that on my board right now. All right, so let's see here. So Miko says something about oracles and proxy. Okay, I'll put that on my list of ideas. So I'm making a list here. These aren't necessarily ones that I'm committing to doing, but they're on my idea board. Let's see, oracles. When you say proxy, Miko, is there a specific example that you're talking about, like a proxy contract for upgrading contracts? Okay, yeah, I've actually got a video already about that. I can post a link to you right now. Hold on. So Matt's here in the main chat now. Welcome, Matt. The White House streaming the coronavirus live coverage right now, the live press briefing. I just saw that when I went to YouTube. Let's see, Miko. Hey, Luis, I just got your suggestion as well. Put it on there. So Luis says, what is the criteria in order to receive the coronavirus support? I'm assuming he means the United States. From what I understand, taxpayers under $75,000 are eligible. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I think they might have changed the guidelines. I think it also depends on whether you have a family or not. and how many dependents you have. All right, let's see here. Have I missed anyone's question yet? Taking under collateralized loans for fun and profit. Nice. It's been a good chat on the Wednesday. It seems like more people were able to join. We have more active discussion on this Wednesday session. So we used to meet on Mondays. So I'm glad that we could open this up and that this has been more kind of interactive. The past couple on Mondays were a little slower. It could also be that people are more want to engage right now because everybody's locked in their houses. All right, any other questions that I've missed so far? If there's no other, go ahead and drop your questions in. We got about 7-ish minutes left. I'm going to look at Matt's question here that he chatted me. He's talking about this flash loans contract. So Matt's kind of been working on this flash loan project. That's pretty cool. This is the subject of this week's video. I'm about to post that in the video vault after this live stream ends. So let's see here, Matt. All right, so sorry everyone who's watching the live stream. I'm reading some somewhat technical explanation here. Man, I really got to take care of this quarantine beard. It's looking kind of rough. Okay, so Matt, it looks like you've got overcome a lot of problems. You used the safe ERC20. You stopped using safe transfer, using regular so you got a new error. So I'll look into this here in a minute. You get insufficient die. Okay, I'll look at that here after I get the call. So I got a question come in. We'll see. So why the switch from we'll go from bottom to top? Am I planning on being a validator? So good question. For what network? You mean for Ethereum? Let's see here. So the question, why switch from Monday to Wednesday? Mostly because of a schedule conflict on my end. Let's see here. But it seems like it's actually working out because more people are actually able to join on Wednesdays. And I did have actually, that's not true. It's not mostly because of a schedule conflict on my end. That was part of it, but I was willing to live with it if people didn't want to switch from Mondays. Had a lot of requests to switch to Wednesdays. But it also was kind of a win-win because I had a schedule conflict and nobody really objected from switching from Mondays, and a lot of people asked. So it's like, well, let's just do it. See what happens. So it seems to be like it's more fruitful time. So going back to the validator question, if it's for Ethereum, I haven't decided yet. We haven't gone to proof of stake yet. For ETH 2.0, yeah, I haven't decided yet. I think it could be cool. I should just say that I am a validator. Right now, it's getting quite a bit cheaper to become a validator. What's the Ether price? $135 is the Ether price. So in case you guys aren't familiar, You need 32 ETH to be a validator to stake 135. So it costs you about $4,300 right now. All right. About 5 minutes left. If you got any more questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat here. Yeah, that quarantine beard's getting pretty bad. It's going to come off tonight, probably. Anybody else growing a quarantine beard out there? Anybody giving up on their personal hygiene because they're stuck inside? Let's see here. So Luis says he feels me on the beard. Another question come in. Just shave today after many days. Well, let's say also if you wear a mask, that the beard kind of messes up that it makes the mask not effective. So I don't think this amount of beard is going to make a mask like totally ineffective, but it might. I don't know. I'm not a health professional. Can't give health advice either. Can't give financial advice. Can't give legal advice. Can't give health advice. But definitely, if you have a big bushy beard, I don't think that's going to help your coronavirus mask at all. Yeah, I had a haircut scheduled for like March 16th or something like that. And yeah, that didn't happen. I don't know when that's going to happen. I mean, there's a lot bigger problems than not being able to have your haircut. So I don't want to make light of that, but I'm not getting a haircut anytime soon. Man, I wish I could go bald, Miko. I just don't think it would work. I think my head would look kind of funny. I had a shaved head when I was a kid, and it was not the best. Except I don't think I would like shaving my head all the time. Oh, a documentary on minimalism. Yeah, I'm somewhat minimalistic myself. I'm not a pure minimalist. There's always like the kind of two poles. Like, I mean, if you're totally minimalist, you don't have anything but the clothes on your back. But I don't have a lot of things. Mostly because it adds complexity and maintenance and energy. Takes a lot of resources just to have stuff. I do got a lot of books. That's true. So yeah, I'm not a total minimalist, but pretty much everything that I have is in this room. Me personally. All right, let's see here. So I just going to go ahead and wrap up here, guys. Let's see here. I just updated the video vault while I was talking to you. So I'm hoping everything is here. If it works, I'm going to post it in the channel. Again, hope everybody stays safe out there, stays healthy. Hope your family is healthy. Let's see here. General. Sorry, I'm making sure that the new video was added correctly. Yep, looks like it worked. All right, I'm about to post it right now in the general chat. All right, there you go. There's your new video on how to get started with your first Flash loan. So I just put the live stream replay in there as well. Y'all let me know what you think. I'm excited. And yeah, until next time, thanks for watching Blockchain Mastery University. See you next time.